Thank you, Brooke. I'd like to begin by a special thank you to Brooke Goldstein, without whom this project would not have gotten off the ground, without whom this amazing array of speakers and panelists would not be here. And so, Brooke, thank you very much. I would like to welcome you all on behalf of the New York County Lawyers Association and the Committee on Foreign and International Law, which I have the honor to chair. Before presenting our first speakers, I'd like to just add a few words to what Brooke has so well outlined as the subject of today's discussion. Lawfare, frankly, is as American as apple pie. And we behave as if we didn't know what we were doing, or, you know, we're sort of innocents in all this. But it's hard to imagine a legal question that gets to our courts that doesn't have its political dimension, that isn't advanced by a political group. The list is endless. I'd also like to bring to your attention the fact that the United States perhaps feeds the lawfare movement by its own claims of jurisdiction. I remember vividly a wonderful opinion of Jack Weinstein involving a lawsuit brought by Bulova against Psycho, in which, after many, many pages, he said, anybody who thinks that you can do $1 billion worth of business in my district and I don't have jurisdiction over your headquarters in Tokyo has got another thing coming. And he succeeded in piercing every corporate veil between New York and Tokyo. I don't know whether this is working. No, it's not high enough. I'm not loud enough. Not on. Is it on now? No. It's on. It is on. Whew. Doesn't sound it. All right, I'll shout. Maybe this one's on. Hello? No? Okay. I'll try shouting. How's that? The point is that the use of the law for political purposes to advance political agenda is very much part of the American legal and political tradition. We now confront a situation where the tables are being turned and the law is being used to delegitimize Israel, for example, to attack and constrain the United States when it engages in military activity, whether it is defense of the European post-World War II status quo through the NATO campaign over Kosovo, or in response to 9/11 with the campaign in Afghanistan, or the campaign in Iraq, whatever one thinks of it. These are just some of the examples where opponents of the United States have claimed that its leaders have engaged in criminal activity and have tried to assert jurisdiction over them, even when the claims are specious. And the law, however, can be used in other directions. But most importantly, we have seen in the last decade attacks on Israel through the International Court of Justice, where one of the current judges, who was ambassador for Morocco to the United Nations, said in a public forum at Columbia Law School, the point of that lawsuit was to get the International Court of Justice to weigh in on the side of those opposed to Israel. And that was the reason why the UN General Assembly asked for an advisory opinion on the legal effects of the Israeli security wall. And just to make sure that the ICJ came out the right way, the resolution specifies that it's a criminal wall and that Israeli activities in the West Bank and Gaza were criminal as well. It's interesting, we have here outside one of the better responses to the court by a non-lawyer. I encourage you all to read Eli Hertz's reply, which is piled up outside the door, and he does not want to take it away with him. We've seen at the United Nations continual abuse of internal procedures, such as the Uniting for Peace resolution, which the General Assembly uses to consider subjects that are being routinely addressed by the Security Council, even though the UN Charter says that while the Security Council is addressing a matter, the General Assembly has no right to debate it. We see the use of the International Criminal Court for political purposes. Anybody who doubts this should take a really good look at the way in which the prosecutor evaluates whether to bring cases and what the political consequences of a case are. And it's not altogether clear to me that bringing a case against the head of the president of Sudan has ameliorated anything. But that was supposed to, if you listened to the UN debates in 2004 and 2005, you would have thought that that act alone would have solved the problem in Sudan. We're 5 years later and no closer to a solution, as far as I can tell. The consequences of the use of law, therefore, are profound, and it requires that Americans and others devoted to the rule of law put their thinking caps on, be vigilant, and be aggressive in dealing with the misuse of law, and not be a chicken. I think that it's our game. We're not playing as if it's our game, and we have to change. It's as if suddenly we gave up playing baseball or football. No, this is our game. And it's not as if we don't have enough bright lawyers to fling at the enemy. And let me just give you one example of the use of the law against the enemy that may give some food for thought and initiative. In 1989, a ship called the Tiny Star was used as a base for launching a Zodiac boat attack on Israel. Now, that ship turned up in Piraeus Harbor, and we could have sent in commandos to sink it or blow it up, but we didn't. What we did was to start an action in Admiralty, and that ship is still tied up at Piraeus, rotting, thanks to that bit of lawfare. And so I think we all should use that as an example and take the fight to the bad guys. Let's not just be patsies on this, to quote Ronald Reagan.
All right.
Now, it's my privilege to introduce our first, well, I'm not going to introduce our first speaker because Robert Morgenthau needs no introduction. I would just welcome him to the podium, and I got to